So this is the setup video for the first lab on graphing motion. And what you'll do is you'll scroll down to week 3 in the Moodle page, and there you'll see a section for lab 1, and you'll click on this link for the lab manual, and when we go to read the book, we see it opens up initially with under the first section of the book, which is the iLab setup. So make sure that you've gone through these steps first, especially the first step on installing the software. You can't do the lab unless you do that. The calibrating the hardware, you can hold off on that if you want, because we're not going to use anything that requires a calibration for this lab, but if you want to get it done, go ahead and get it done. Looking at the data is good. Get you an idea of kind of how to use the software and analyze the data that you're going to collect. And then under the lab assignments, there's the 5 there, and you'll click on the first one, graphing motion. And so in this lab, you're going to look at, there's 2 parts. First part is on position versus time graphs. And essentially what you're going to do is you're going to analyze the 7 basic lines or curves that make up any graph. Okay, all 7 of them right here. That's the only types of things that will make up a graph, is those essentially those 7 types of curves. Okay, and so what you're going to do is you're going to use your iLab device, and you're going to try to replicate these lines. Okay, and so before you do that, I want you to look at your lab report worksheet. Okay, and I've uploaded this into Moodle. There's a folder here, Lab 1 Report Worksheet. And you can download the Word version or the Pages version, depending on what you like. If you're using Mac, like I do, I like to use Pages. And then you should be able to, once you complete it, you should be able to upload it to the Turnitin. This is the Turnitin feature here on Moodle, under the Lab 1 submission. And you'll see that there's a submit paper button here. And it should be okay to submit as a PDF, a Word document, or a Pages document. We have had some time in the past, there was some issues with the Pages, uploading Pages in there, but I think it's resolved now, so that should be all good to go. Okay, and so before you actually do anything, I want you to look at the lab worksheet. This is where you're going to record all of your data and your screenshots and everything. And the first thing I want you to do, I've got a table here with all 7 of those lines. And in the first column, or the second I should say, is I want you to do a little prediction. Okay, and so what you're going to do is you're going to take your iLab device, and the wheel sensor, basically what the wheel sensor does, it's this wheel right here, and it senses the motion of the wheel, and so from that it can tell how far the device moves. Okay, and there's also you'll see an XYZ plane labeled on the front and back of the iLab device. Okay, and so essentially the wheel will work along the y-axis. Okay, so positive y-axis will be going this way, negative will be going this way. Okay, and so for all, what I'm going to do here to kind of show you things is I'm going to point it such that the positive y is pointing this way. Okay, and the negative y is pointing along the direction of the eye hook here, which is plugged into it's screwed into the force sensor, which we'll use in the following lab. And so I've also wrote it on the board, if you could see, plus y is that way, and negative y is this way. Okay, and so you're going to kind of predict what kind of motion are you going to have to do in order to create each of these lines. And so just give it a prediction. You don't have to be right. You're not graded on whether your prediction was right. Okay, you don't have to go back and worry about, oh, my prediction was wrong, so let me change it to the right one. No. In fact, it's better to keep your prediction there because if you ever want to use this to go over and kind of study the different types of curves on the graph, it's actually good to have your mistake there, because then you'll remember, oh yeah, I thought it was this, but it's actually this. Okay, and then you'll fill in the second column once you actually go to the software and do this. So you see here in my software, I'm paired. Okay, so it's in range. The device is in range of the USB that's plugged into my computer. And so once I press the on button, once I do that, we see that we've got some blinking lights and we're now connected. And so what I'll do is I'm going to come down here to the wheel sensor, and automatically it checks off position, velocity, and acceleration. So we don't need acceleration and velocity yet. So we'll just check off the position sensor, because that's all we're going to do for this first part here. Okay? And then when you go to click record, okay, I'm going to place my device down this way, and you just press record, and then you just start moving the device around however you want to try to replicate those different lines, the 7 different lines. Okay, and if you want, you can also adjust. Sometimes you're probably not going to go much more than half a meter in either direction. So if you want, what I like to do is adjust the scale to around 0.5 to minus 0.5, and then I get a nicer zoomed in image of what I'm actually looking at. And if you want to like zoom in more, there's this little bar up here, like you'd see how to use this in the looking at your data video. But if I just wanted to zoom in on this section here, I could, and maybe I'll say, oh, that's a bit much. I can just click my mouse, just do a regular click of the mouse and get back out of there. And then maybe I'll say, okay, well, let me make it bigger. Okay, maybe that's better, or maybe it's not. I'll click again. Maybe I want to look at this part. Maybe I want to zoom in again. Okay, I could click again, go back to where I started. Okay, and so you're gonna save this for each of your graphs you're trying to replicate. So in the third column, you could put, if you were wrong, you could put the actual words that were there. If your guess was right, your prediction was right, you don't have to worry about that. I'm not going to grade that. I'm just going to look for, at least something in one column. Okay, and then finally you take a screenshot of your graph. So in the Mac here, I have a screenshot thing that I can use, a nice easy screenshot. Copy and paste that into the document. Oops. Okay, I know there's a snipping tool on Windows you can use, and so just be careful to not I guess what you might want to what you might end up happening is you might forget to take the snapshot and it's gone. You can do down here on the bottom left of the software. There is a take a snapshot. Okay, and so it's there. And also, what you'll be able to do is if you go up to this little folder here in the top, this will show you all of your acquisitions. Okay, so if I ended up starting another one, clicking reset, and starting to do a new one, and I said, oh no, I forgot to save that. Well, I can go up to the folder here, and I could check out the previous acquisitions here, and say, and unfortunately what it does is it automatically saves all of this other stuff in here that you really don't need. So you can see all these things checked off here on the left. You can uncheck all these things that you don't need. Okay, and there we go. That's back to where we had it. Okay, so you're going to do that for all 7. Insert your graph there, okay? And you won't be able to get it exactly how I did it. I've been using this software and hardware for years, so I'm getting pretty good at it. And maybe only a portion of it was what you wanted. So maybe you were trying to match the graph that looks sort of like this. Not much. All right. And so you can zoom in if you want, or you can also click on this bar here. This is the data tool, and you could say, all right, I'm going to click and drag across here, and that's the particular part of the graph, okay, that I'm trying to match. So it can get a little tricky. So I just want to make it simple for yourself. You don't have to worry about making everything perfect. So whatever you find easier to do as you're getting to know how to use this software. Okay, and then there's also after you do that part, there's going to be kind of a mixed complex graph, and so you're going to try to recreate this, and then you're going to describe the intervals, what happens, what you had to do in each interval, okay, from A to B, B to C, and so on. And there's a couple analysis questions. And then finally you go to velocity versus time graphs. Okay? And so here, sort of going to do the same thing. All right? You're going to say, what you're basically going to say is, well, if I have this particular position versus time graph, what will the corresponding velocity versus time graph look like? So I want you to make a prediction in there, and then go ahead and give it a try again. Okay, so now that you know how to make these graphs, you can go over to your software, and now you can check off position and velocity, and then if I'm going to make this, all right, something like that, then I could see, okay, well, maybe this is the part I care about here. I was trying to get a nice straight line here, like I think number 2, the second one in the table. And so it's kind of hard to tell exactly what's going on here. So maybe I want to zoom in some more, that particular region, okay? And maybe if you're not quite getting something that looks clear, well, maybe you can give it another try again, okay? It didn't look like I had a perfectly diagonal line, so I can try again. Okay, that looked a little bit better. Okay, and then this is the part I'm caring about. And if I zoom down in here, okay, now I'm starting to see, now I see more of a pattern, right? Now it looks more like a flat line, okay? All right, and so you'll insert your screenshots for each of those graphs, and again you'll have a complex graph. This time it's a velocity versus time graph. Okay, and so you'll try to make that graph with the software, and then you'll be able to see what the position time graph, the corresponding position time graph looks like. Okay, and then you'll also type in what happens, what you had to do in each interval to make that portion of the graph. Okay, and then there's a couple of more analysis questions. We're going to, in particular, look at those 2 complex graphs again. Okay, and so when you're done, you can save that, upload that to the Lab 1 submission in Moodle, and then that's basically it for this first lab.